This is Our Government Final by Alessio Destasi and Grace Eveland.
So beginning with our first unit, the comparative government unit, there are many different types of governments. For example, there is democracy, fascist, republic, anarchy, and monarchy governments. To demonstrate these, the United States has a democratic government, Germany under Hitler, also Italy under Benito Mussolini is a fascist form of government. Argentina has a republic form of government. Somalia used to have an anarchy, and Britain has a monarchy form of government. A country built its government to protect its citizens both from one another and from outside enemies. Moving on to Unit 2, the roots of American democracy. So the three ideals of American democracy include of liberty, equality, and self-government, which is basically justice. The two main roots, however, include of limited government and representative government, where limited government is this idea that government is ruled by the many rather than the few, and unlimited is the opposite, where it's ruled by the few rather than the many. Representative government is this idea that people should have a say in their own government and elect their officials to represent them. Thus, this is why the name is called representative government. Um, the influence of Enlightenment has a lot to do with the roots of American democracy. So during the Enlightenment era, there are many philosophers, including John Locke, Montesquieu, Rousseau, many others, but these three had a really big effect on the United States and its modernization and its future. So John Locke had these ideas of natural rights, life, liberty, and property, which are seen today in the United States government, since we have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as our three unalienable rights. Montesquieu, he basically formulated the checks and balance system that we have today in our democratic government, and Rousseau believed that communities should be governed by general will or by the people, which is the same thing that we have today in the United States government. Also, the balance between order and liberty and the balance between liberty and equality are very important today.
So next, for the third unit we studied this year, I will be providing an overview for the three branches within the United States government, being the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. First, starting with the legislative branch, the main task of this branch is to create and draft all the laws, declare war, regulate interstate and foreign commerce, and they control taxing and spending policies. The legislative branch is composed of the House and Senate, or the Congress. The next main branch of government is the executive branch. The main task of the executive branch of government is to carry out and enforce laws. The branch includes the president, vice president, the cabinet, executive departments, independent agencies, and other boards, commissions, and committees. Moving on, we have the judicial branch. The judicial branch is the system of federal courts and judges that interprets laws made by the legislative branch and enforced by the executive branch. They also settle legal disputes and cases. They hear these civil cases in court and protect constitutional rights of the people. Within the judicial branch, there are 9 justices of the Supreme Court. And with that being said, to ensure the even spread of power throughout the government, the United States contains a checks and balance system, and the checks and balances are the main principle of government, meaning each branch are empowered to prevent actions by other branches and induce to share power.
Moving on to Unit 4 are the civil liberties and rights. So civil rights are the rights of citizens to political and social freedom and equality. And as stated before in the second unit, John Locke created the foundation for our unalienable rights today, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this is what our democratic government is basically built around. Civil liberties are guarantees and freedoms that the liberal governments commit not to abridge either by legislation or judicial interpretation without due process. Another important factor of civil rights and liberties is the Bill of Rights, which are the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, but there are more amendments that have been added onto this. These basically guarantee civil rights and liberties to the individual, freedom of speech, assembly, press, and religion, which this is the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights sets rules for due process of law and reserves all powers not delegated to the federal government, to the people, or to the states.
Okay, moving on to the last and final unit of the semester, we discuss the role that media plays within the government. To begin, it's necessary to list the different types of media. The three most popular include print media, which would be like newspapers and pamphlets, broadcast media, which is information provided by the TV or the radio, and finally the internet, which is mainly composed of different social media platforms, which obviously is the most used source of media today. And the main purpose of the media within a democracy is to allow citizens to participate and provide new viewpoints within the government, though there are many pros and cons that come with the accessible news media and how they affect the government. For example, benefits include the emerging of new viewpoints, the participation and voice that people do have in the government, and the opportunity to receive and interpret information at a fast rate. And it also acts as a watchdog over the government's actions, essentially making it more fair as the citizens are more actively represented within this country's government. Nevertheless, there are disadvantages to the media in regarding to politics. So, for instance, a lot of fake and exaggerated news is often provided online to sway the perspectives of opposing political groups, and a loss of privacy is experienced, and the privacy of officials is put at risk. Significantly, this can ruin the reputation of political groups, politicians, officials, and even local representatives in a negative manner. And overall, as explained, the role of media within the government can be looked at in both a positive and negative way.
Overall, there are many different significant aspects as seen here through all five of our units in this government class of the significant parts of our United States government. Thank you.
Thank you.